It's almost 10 years to the day since the 7/7 London bombings, a series of coordinated suicide bomb attacks on the capital's transport network in which 52 civilians lost their lives. A decade later, one family has moved on from the grief of losing a loved one and is taking the fight against extremism to Britain's schools. 31-year-old Miriam Hyman died after the number 30 double-decker bus she was travelling on was blown up at Tavistock Square in central London. Following Miriam's death, her family are now attempting to use their daughter's story to educate children about the attacks and dissuade them from extremism.
Our reaction to 7/7 was a determination to do whatever we could in our very limited power to prevent this happening to other people. This is so avoidable. This distress is so intense and so avoidable that it became our life's work.
And although many of them are aware of 9/11, actually the events of 7/7 do seem to have slipped out of the public consciousness. So we don't want to browbeat. We're not feeling sorry for ourselves, but it's worth remembering an event like 7/7 and learning lessons from it so that it didn't happen in vain.
Called Miriam's Vision, the collection of lesson plans are designed to educate British secondary school children about the events of the London bombings and to discourage extremism. The course comes at a time when increasing numbers of British citizens are becoming radicalised and joining Islamist groups, including the 3 British schoolgirls from East London who travelled to Syria to join with Islamic State fighters back in March. Jane Beaumont is the head teacher at the school where Miriam studied in North London. She says that the classes could prove a vital resource in educating students of the dangers of extremism.
It's not just for schools, but schools have an important role to play in terms of how we're educating our young people, but also how we're supporting parents and our relationship and partnership with parents to ensure that their children are safe both within school and outside of school.
One of those attending the classes, 14-year-old Rabia Dilawar, said the courses had also helped in removing some of the stigma around Muslims amongst fellow students.
There are a lot of stereotypes about Muslims being terrorists and Islamophobia, and seeing as I'm Muslim, I get quite offended when people say that, and these lessons have helped those other children in my class understand that Muslims are not terrorists, that it's just a stereotype that people have been making up. And just because one person, the bomber, has decided to do something like this, it doesn't mean that everyone else who follows the same belief as that bomber has the same intentions as him as well.
Esther Hyman hopes that the continued work of these courses will help to prevent radicalisation and racial tension in the UK, so that an event like the 7th of July 2005 never happens again.
It saddens me to hear about the steady stream of young people that are going down the path of radicalisation. Maybe our work is a drop in the ocean, but collectively we can make a difference. And certainly the aim of a terrorist is to terrorise, and I refuse to lay down and be beaten.